So we will call to order the special meeting of the Fremont Water and Sanitation Board, May 19th at 6:31. Starting with a roll call, I am Karen Morgan, present.
Art Martinez, present.
Roger Wendell, present.
Bill Murray, present.
We have Director Wickman online.
Director Wickman is online.
We have a quorum. Thank you all. If you are comfortable, it's time to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's right in the corner here. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? I do not see any. So we will go on to public comment. The only agenda item for tonight is the budget hearing. So if anybody who has comments about the budget, the fee setting, or anything else, this is your time to do it. You have 5 minutes per person. I don't see any hands raised online, so I'll give you a minute to do that. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak, and I'll ask anybody in the room if you would like to speak. And
My name is Mieczysław Kozlowski. I have only one question. From New Year, you charged $20 for aging piping. When we asked Mr. Wiegman what's going on, because I asked many people from Denver and different districts, Denver is ordered as no aging piping. Lakewood is younger anyway, and from 10th month, infrastructure and raise another $10. What the heck is going on? Aging piping is only in Green Mountain.
no.
I think so.
And this is probably deeper discussion. We don't usually answer questions in this time, and I'm sure Director Wickman could have pointed you to resources if he didn't know the answer. But so what I'm going to do is, can I get there's more thorough answers online. But what I'm going to say is the aging infrastructure, Denver does have aging infrastructure. They just charge you differently for it. We are trying to catch up on our aging infrastructure, and we decided to put a line item on there so that you would know what it was for. On the website, we have a map of which pipes we want to change out or fix in the next 10 years. And there's a goal to complete. This will the goal is to repair the pipes built, is it 40s as well? 1940s, 50s, and
Pre-1970.
anything pre-1970s, which we have not done, and we just did not do for a long time.
Yes, I understand. But another story, you're charging service fee $45.20, and for example, Lakewood is not very cheap, charging every month $12.72 after 2 months, because you're charging every 2 months is only $25.44. And guys, you're saving 1 month trip around. Why is different?
I guess I don't understand. I don't understand the question. 1 month sweep around.
Because you checking every 2 months.
Yes.
Around.
Okay.
Lakewood every month.
Okay.
You saving one around trip.
Okay, you're saying the charge should be less.
Should be less.
Yeah. We're not charging based on the trip. We're just charging based on the usage. I think, and this is why I would like to talk to you, or we'll have the manager talk to you a little bit more offline so that we can get more of these questions answered. And if something else comes up where we need to change it, that kind of change that you're talking about, those fees will be adjusted in the November budget meeting.
Higher.
Probably by inflation at least, yes.
With inflation, I'm sorry. Same story with Lakewood, sewer. Last year was $60, now $90, 50%, not 2.8 or another, sorry, bullshit like inflation, only 50%, boom.
The stormwater fees?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, yes. And they're playing catch up and we're playing catch up, although there's more to it than that. Would I be able to get an email or a phone number so that we can have a meeting and talk to you more about this?
Because you have guys over 60,000 customers, homes. And every month, when you charge them only $15 because it's per month, there is over 240,000 every month extra. 16,000 homes.
Yes.
Times 15 is 240,000. By 10 years, it's 2.4 million, 2.5 because it's over
Okay,
16,000
yes.
customers.
We're looking for 8.
That's sure.
We have, we have $80 million worth of pipes to fix.
Problem started with water district years ago, Sortera.
Yeah.
And still, everything is expensive to users.
Yes. Well, it's catching up. We didn't pass on enough of the costs.
But
So, but you are a Green Mountain customer.
yes,
Okay, because that was Lakehurst. That's what you were saying. Okay,
from my friends.
okay, very good. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And we are happy to, I'm happy to go through every one of those lines with you. It's just going to take a little bit of time. But I would welcome the conversation so that we can get it adjusted if we need to, if we have any other ideas. Would you like to leave me your phone, email, something?
Yes, but
But no,
I tell you, it's not work anyway.
we have adjusted by volume, we have adjusted by monthly fee, we have adjusted by the flat line additional fee. We have been doing a lot of things, and if you have ideas and where we can do or differences we can make, that's what we're doing here again tonight, so
Okay.
please. It's always worth it because we're finding new things. The discussion here tonight, I think it is an area that we have not studied for ever. So that is why it would be good. If you feel comfortable, I would be happy to call you back.
Spoke with my wife and neighbors are really, pissed off
Yes,
because
everything is going
up like crazy.
It's very true. And like I said, we had 80 million. Am I getting the numbers right? 80 million. Our target on that was we were trying to get $80 million done in 10 years. Something like that. It's outrageous. It's a lot.
The pipes.
The pipes. That's why it is a lot. I agree.
4 times more than I counted for 10 years.
Yes. Well, on the plus side, you didn't have to pay it for those 10 years, those before, and now we're catching up. Thank you. We'll get with you. Is there anything you would like to say? No, thank you. I'm okay. I'm not trying to shut anybody down.
Do we want to read Mr. Holt's email comment, or we just want to put it in the minutes? for his,
He asked for it to be a public comment.
we just wanted it recorded, so we can either read it off and record it or just put it in the minutes.
I will, we can read it off so that everybody else can hear. Do you have it faster than I do?
Yes, I haven't.
Okay, would you like to read it? We have a public comment that came in online and he wanted it to be read, but, so we will do that, but it is a little long, so.
Yeah, for the record, it was for the May 12th meeting, but I wasn't able to get it in time, and I responded to the gentleman and assured him that it would be on this public discussion. So it says, to the board of directors, I am writing as a resident and ratepayer of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District to express my serious concern regarding the exploding costs of my recent water bills.
He agrees with me.
While I understand the importance of maintaining our system, the current fee structure feels unsustainable for residents, particularly those of us on fixed incomes. Specifically, I would like the board to address the following points. One, the usage markup. With a 2026 residential rate set at $7.31 per thousand gallons, there's now a $2.01 markup over Denverwood Water's wholesale cost of $5.30. Since we are already paying a dedicated $30 monthly infrastructure replacement fee, specifically for pipe replacement, what exactly does this additional $2.01 usage markup fund? Two, fixed versus variable costs. My bill has shifted from being usage-based to being dominated by fixed fees. Paying $130 to $140 for a small amount of actual water use feels disproportionate. This structure penalizes low volume users and seniors who have already spent decades contributing to the system. Three, senior hardship relief. Does the board have plans to implement a senior tier or hardship exemption? Many of us are facing rising costs across the board, and these mandatory $30 monthly infrastructure fees are becoming a significant burden. Four, legal and administrative spending. I request transparency on how much of our monthly service fees are being allocated towards legal fees for ongoing litigation versus actual boots on the ground maintenance. I request that this letter be included in the official correspondence for the next board of directors meeting on May 12th, 2026, as I already disclaimed. We weren't able to get it in time. I look forward to a public response regarding these financial pressures on the community. Sincerely, George Holden.
Thank you. We did just address some of that. Largely agrees with you. I'll go on and say the other things that, a couple other notes, because we're not gonna, we don't have. Since it is of such interest, the term penalizes low volume users catches my attention because I don't think the current fee structure was never to penalize low volume users. On the contrary, the old rate structure was to penalize high volume users. So making things more equal feels like low volume users are paying more, and they are, but it is applying things more equally rather than, it's not penalizing low volume users, it's not penalizing high volume users as much. And there were a couple of reasons for that. One being that so many people have switched to xeriscaping, and we have made that transition already. Two was that we penalize high volume users in several different ways, so those costs add up. And there was a third one. And then the other one was that as we have been doing the development and rezoning of Lakewood and how everything is doing that, the people, we are getting two categories of low volume users. And one of that is the fixed income people with still may have yards with outdoor use. But that also includes only indoor use apartments. And those users equally need access to the pipes and the water rights and the staff and all of that 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 we need to pay for. And that's why we're looking at kind of equalizing things so that the apartments and multifamily also pay for some of those fixed pipes. They get assessed the infrastructure replacement fee as well as outdoor users. For the rest of those questions, I have already started a draft and I will complete. Anybody else can feel free to answer any questions, and any other board members can feel free to talk to you after the meeting and we can go into a lot more details. Is there anybody else online who would like to make public comment? I still do not see any hands raised. Okay. I will close public comment in 1, 2, 3. And we're done. Thank you all. Okay. So the next item on the list would be discussing even more fees. We have a surcharge from Denver Water that Green Mountain will be assessed. It is our job to figure out how to assess that. We have a couple of different scenarios. Doug is online. Doug, would you like to start us off with an explanation of this chart, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the drought scenarios, we had passing the rate of $1.65 straight to volumetric over average winter consumption, which is what Denver Water is doing to us as a whole. Meaning we look at January, February, March, April, average that out, come up with a number, and then anything above that would be charged more, and that would be per customer for that scenario. So then from that, we also had second scenario of doing that same thing, but doing 50% of it and using up some of the reserves that we have to compensate for that. Third scenario would be—
You say reserve, can you be more specific at which reserves we're talking about?
In our bank balance, essentially.
The emergency fund?
I wouldn't call it emergency fund. So we always use reserves as the word. However, it's the funds that we are holding in our banks and investments and whatnot.
But that's any cash that we would have access to.
Essentially. Third scenario is taking using those scenarios to come up with a dollar amount and then dividing that between SFRE for every customer. So SFRE is single family residential equivalent, excuse me. And that applies to commercial, goes based on meter size, multifamily per unit, and obviously single family, it's per single family. That's how we came up with that figure based off of that consumption figure that we came up with. And then the fourth scenario is dividing that in half and using reserves as well.
So in scenario 1, we're not using any of the reserves,
Correct.
but you're gonna increase, what, 3465? Is that what I'm saying?
So that would be for that average customer,
It'd be
which we
34 average residential / commercial customer.
correct. So scenario one, low users would not see an increase. Average, where they use 9,000 in the winter, 30,000 in the summer, they'd see that 3465.
That's
And a high,
over and above their last year's bill, right?
correct, yeah. And a user that's considered higher at 70,000 would see $100.65 increase based on their irrigation consumption.
Okay. Then on the scenario two, same thing, except we would then offset some of those costs using some cash that we have on reserve
Correct.
to help offset the cost. So you're looking at 1743 for an average of 9,000 through up to 30,000. And then up above 9,000 to 70,000, it's $50.63. So you're basically cutting that in half. Well, that's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
And then the scenario 3 and 4 are the fixed cost ones, where you see more
Say
of
that
an
again?
impact. Scenario 3 and 4 are the fixed cost scenarios. Same thing, like we apply it all across the board to cover all of our projected costs. Mind you, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, so that's another conversation to be had. But off of what we're projecting, scenario 3 is completely covered. Scenario 4 is fixed cost, half coverage, and using reserves as well.
Now, when you say fixed costs, can you explain that a little bit, what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be everyone shares the same cost. So it doesn't matter how much you use, it's going to be the same.
So our intent would be to spread it across everybody's plate within the district.
That would be, yeah. So on this scenario and the projections that we have put in place here, that would be $13.07 per billing for everyone, regardless of what you use.
Okay, so if you relate it back to scenarios 1 and 2, it's less across the board, but everybody basically helps to take on the pain of what we're seeing, right?
Right. Well, so scenario 1 and 2 are based on consumption. So the more you use, the more you're going to pay. If you don't use as much and you conserve less, or you conserve more, excuse me, you're going to pay less. However, the entire district will pay less as well, so we won't get charged as much.
Okay. Then scenario 4 is the scenario where we would try to offset 50% of that, where everything is equal across the board.
Right.
And I'm doing this because I want anybody who's listening to understand basically what we're looking at here when we're looking at the stock unit.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Do you guys have any other
your
questions?
Your averages that you figured on series 1 and 2 was from January through April, right?
Correct. January through April.
Through April.
Good, thank you.
So Doug, I have a question. This is Roger. I apologize. Jesse's working on my email. I've lost access here the past couple of days, so I'm not completely up to speed. In round figures, without disclosing account balances, how much would our reserves drop for each scenario by year's end? Do you have a rough idea in hundreds of thousands of dollars under each scenario, how much the reserve would drop?
So in scenario 1 and 3, where we don't use reserves, it wouldn't drop. We just wouldn't gain as much. In scenario 2 and 4, it looks like about $500,000. And again, I want to stress this: these are projections.
Right. Yeah, you're guesstimating. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if our customers use 20% less, those numbers can change dramatically. So we're going off historical data.
And just for reference, where do we stand on amount of reserves?
From the last board packet we did, so that would be April 30th, we were at a little over 34 million.
30 something million,
30, yeah, around 34.
34.
And one other quick question, just so I understand, ensure that I understand this. These costs are just basically related due to the drought situation.
Correct. Yeah, the surcharge is directly related to that. That's the only reason that conversation is happening. But
Do you want a picture next?
So we would not expect that, would hope, knock on wood, that next year we would not need to address anything in this type of manner.
right. So Denver Water, they stated that the surcharge and restrictions would go through next April. However, I feel like that is quite conservative. We could see changes in the next few months. We could see changes in the next, next winter. We can get snowpack. So it's not permanent. And yeah, it's always up for discussion and change.
I saw a thing on the internet or the news the other day where there's a potential for this El Nino effect to give us more water in this area than this summer. So that could impact it too if that does occur.
Right. And as Josh mentioned earlier, 2013, we were in the same state, and then we got flooding in May into June, had monsoons in July, so it took away the drought. So they were going to do these restrictions, and then they took it away. So anything's possible. I can't tell you, but it's always up for change and discussion.
So I was trying to visualize this a little bit. I have done a lot of conversations, and sometimes just running through those numbers did not. It's difficult to just run through numbers. So I'm trying to do a picture of it. The explanation is in the top left there. The surcharge is based on the volume of water that we used, and this is me making this up today, so it is not proofread, and I'm not the expert, but this is what I'm trying to explain. Our staff can jump in anytime. We have a normal year of consumption, right? For the purpose of the drought, they are breaking it down into an average winter use, and then whatever we use on top of that. And that's an average summer month there. So the surcharge will only be applied to that over winter consumption. Okay. The is it AWC, average winter consumption?
Yes.
So that's what the surcharge will be applied to, thinking that is outdoor use. That's 70% of the water for my rough calculations. So if we go down to the next little piece, the goal for the district is to reduce our consumption by 20%. So you can see the difference between what we would normally use and then a slightly less amount for in the drought. These are two completely different conversations that are getting kind of caught up in one thing. The conservation measures are water your lawn for 2 days. It is, and we get to talking about the surcharge and again, the penalizing who and what, but that is really what we are doing here, is limiting it to 2 days a week. That's your 20% reduction. So back up at the top on the rate applied. See, in a normal year, we have, as of April, we were paying $5.30 for every million gallons used.
Every 1,000.
1,000 gallons. We pay by thousands. I thought you were saying by millions this morning. So across the board, that's what we would do. Now they are putting on that drought surcharge. This is for everybody in the district. That's the district water. It's not per person. So for the district, we'll be paying $6.95 on that summer usage and the $5.30 still on the winter usage. So that's a 30% increase on, I should have done, it was 70% of the use, but now it's decreased, so maybe 50%, 30% increase on 50% of the water. Making sense? The goal with Denver then, if I do those calculations out, you can see that $5.30 based on all of that volume we would be paying Denver 1,532, and I shouldn't even say that, 1,532, and there's some zeros in there that I got wrong. And the other scenario in the drought year, we'll be paying 1,590. That's about 104%.
If you have the reduction.
It doesn't matter, but yeah, I mean, that's assuming that we reduce. If we don't reduce, we'll be paying them more. The goal is that if we reduce, that's what we would pay, but you can see that the amount of the surcharge is kind of balancing out the reduction in use, which means we're gonna be paying them that amount of money no matter what. The amount of money we're paying on the surcharge is unrelated to how much we're saving, how much water we're saving. So if to save money, we're not saving money in any of these scenarios. And so when I heard, and was it Art asking about fixed costs, Doug was saying something about fixed costs, that's what brings this to mind, is that Denver needs to cover their costs as well. So that's why I think this surcharge is geared toward making sure they recoup the same amount of money, because they still need to pay their staff, they still need to pay their infrastructure, they still need to pay their bills. And that is what we did on our monthly fee that goes up all the time. Green Mountain does not have a surcharge because we moved so many of that costs into the monthly fee. So we don't have to do this kind of calculation, but we do not have that kind of calculation for Denver. So therefore, this is what they do instead. They assess a fee now. I don't know if that made it any clearer to anybody. Does anybody have any questions for somebody more knowledgeable? Okay.
So if I understand it correctly, we're gonna pay this fee no matter what.
We're gonna pay the same amount to Denver.
Unless
The entire
nobody uses any outdoor water,
Which is unlikely.
very unlikely.
And people that use greater amounts of water, higher volumes, still pay more for their water.
They still will.
So that's still in place. So I don't feel like we're overburdening people who use less water. And it appears to me this is basically a fixed cost unless everybody stopped outside watering. That's not gonna happen. So it appears to me to be a fixed cost endured by the entire district.
Yeah, because it would be, and it's not just outdoor use. If we would transfer that all to apartments, then we would still be using the same amount of water indoors.
Right.
We would just be, because we still have to pay for the water rights and the infrastructure and the whatnot. So it's all of that at the same time. Yeah. Sam, can you put together that other green and blue? I got a lot of feedback. I thought it might be helpful to show you the arguments that other people were telling me. Um, and it comes down to those two different fiscal policies, I think. Those are two quotes from customers. We're all in the drought together and we should equally share the burden, or it's only fair that the more you use, the higher rate you pay. So those are all kind of different flavors of that. Again, I get fixed on nobody can afford anything. This is true. So there's people saying, I can't afford it. I'm on a fixed income. And somebody said, well, you heard the letter that was read. No one can afford any of the changes for groceries, electricity, sales taxes. Everything's going up. So it's hard to evaluate which one of those is more valued. Somebody brought up the fact that they are on a fixed income, but they're still doing this equal application, advocating for that. And he said his HOA requires the lawn maintenance. It's not like he can just stop watering. The fixed cost that we talked about, and then if there's lower apartments. And the other big category of arguments came down to conservation policy, and that was, you should be penalized for outdoor use. And this will encourage turf removal if you have more on there. I guess I didn't, another argument is the disparity of the equal application was $13 in Doug's example in his table there, and it went up to 34 in the other one. It's not really close. So 34 and 0 or 13 for everybody. It's a very disproportionate application if you do the pay by use. And again, I have to remind people, this isn't the conservation part. And the conservation by the district is not, we are not stopping any development. We are still adding apartments. We are still adding users. We are still adding water. We just are not adding outdoor water. So.
And the underlying thing is that generally more people are gonna use water, the more they're gonna pay anyway.
Yes.
Nobody's getting a free ride out of this.
And the other thing, it doesn't matter if you save, that was another, somebody said, if I save 20%, I shouldn't have to, if I conserve water 20%, I shouldn't have to pay the fee, and that's just not an option.
It really becomes, what's the best course of action to absorb that fee that we're gonna have to do? Somebody's gotta pay it. Everybody in the district's responsible for it, because it's coming straight from who we deal with, Denver. So that's where we get down to these scenarios of maybe taking some of the funds and offset with them. I know a conversation about, and that one gentleman mentioned it in his letter. Some kind of hardship or senior citizen type of policy to help process those people who are on fixed incomes to do this. That may be something we want to take a look at. In addition, you also brought up a good point to that. Administration becomes a big key factor in that type of a thing. Who gets it, who doesn't, and how do we apply it? So those are the things I want to put on the table for discussion. But
Is that better?
I think as Roger said, that we're just going to have to figure out the best course so that everybody feels warm and fuzzy about how we all pay for it together. We're all on the same boat. Nobody's going to get out of the boat and walk on the bar. We're not going to pay it.
Yeah.
I'd like to add one more thing, it is a concern that rates have gone up, and we've had little choice in this infrastructure, all those things that we're concerned with. So I'm wondering if it wouldn't be in the best interest of everybody, the entire district, if we use the reserve fund completely to cover this for this year. Hopefully the drought will go away by next year, but by year's end or early 2027, we revisit it. But because this gentleman and others have expressed concerns about the rates going up, not much we can do about it at this point, other than dip into the reserve fund and just cover the whole thing. Kind of just thinking out loud.
I disagree.
I'm sorry?
I disagree with using the whole thing. You should never do that. Never.
Well, yeah,
Economic.
that's
We
the
get penalized by Denver Water for doing that.
Why do you still?
Just economically, you always need something. I used to do the maintenance for fish hatcheries. And you plan ahead. And you keep in reserve as much as you possibly can. For instance, the pipeline breaking, the fish are gonna die if I don't fix that pipeline immediately. So I take what money I need, but then I replenish that reserve as fast as I can. 50% sounds good to me, using the reserve, but not the whole thing. This is, to me, you gotta have something in reserve. I'm not sure how the reserve is built up.
That they have enough in reserve.
Yeah, but economically,
Well, and I like to quick the reserve money is your money. Doesn't belong, I don't own it, the board doesn't own it. The users and the people of Green Mountain Water District, that's your money. So your point is well taken. If that's the way you feel about it, and that's what the people want, I think,
I know we're utilities, but it's still, you do have to run some things by business rules, and to me,
you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. So good point, take 50%, maybe a level. And that's where I think we are, is trying to figure out what's the best way to kind of make this good across the board for everybody, and everybody feels more positive about it.
Good discussion. Melinda, did you have something?
Well, we get penalized if we do this, well, Denver Water penalizes for using the reserves rather than paying from the customers. That's what I don't know.
It's not their money.
yeah.
As long as they get paid.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
And what I don't like is we're paying for their salaries. It's, I went to a Consolidated Mutual board meeting, and they're grappling with the same thing, but they've already put it into their fees. The $1.65, and they did the tiers. I think it was like $5.60, and then it was $8 and $11. So yeah, they already started it.
Since we have people jumping in here, I'm gonna you can take this
I
down.
apologize.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna just make sure that the people online have an equal opportunity. If anybody wants to raise their hand, would you like to comment on anything said so far?
No.
Anybody online like to raise your hand and add to what we're saying? Okay, otherwise, I guess I will ask, are we leaning one way or another? Is there a motion? Anybody like to suggest a scenario?
I'm leaning towards scenario number 4.
Okay.
As being a kind of a middle of the road scenario. And I think it would go a long way in terms of good faith, showing the board is looking at every option it possibly can to try to, help the people of Green Mountain, including all levels of income, to try to say, yeah, we're all in this boat, but we're here, we listen to you, we want to meet your needs. And so I'm gonna opt to say that we pass scenario number 4.
There's a motion to adopt scenario 4, fee structure. Actually, can we do that? Mr. Woods, do we need a motion for specific fees rather than a structure like this, a scenario?
I think that you could just instruct staff to implement that scenario without the board determining those particular monetary fees.
Yeah, they will, I mean, again, to reiterate Doug's point, those are projections and that number's gonna change plus minus depending on actual usage that comes through the district. So.
Okay. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Rinker. Any other discussion?
Is it something we could do in between, maybe over a 2-month period? Reevaluate this again in July and reconsider a different scenario? Is that an option?
The problem with that is that we bill every 2 months, so we're always in arrears. So giving it 2 months, I don't think would work. We'd have to go through one billing cycle per each cycle. So it's like cycle 1 ends in May, then starts again in July. The other one starts in June, ends in August, if that makes any sense. So it's going to be hard to judge that for that period. And also, depending on the weather and everything, I mean, every irrigation season is different. So typically you look at the whole irrigation season
Yeah, it sounds
to get an idea. Yeah, it's hard to do it month by month.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if in fact something good happens down the road in July or August, the Denver water says, well, we're no longer in a drought situation. This all goes away.
We could hope.
Right.
We could hope.
So I appreciate Director Martinez's motion. We summarize it again. Apparently the reserve is paying half. And the one that I was alluding to, which motion is that? Or which scenario is that? Number four. And you're proposing number 2.
No, I'm proposing number 4.
Oh, you are that full.
And you-
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna go drastic and go with 3, but,
3 is where the reserve
Is not.
covers it completely.
right,
No.
no.
There is no scenario.
There's no scenario.
It's no reserve.
Art's being a little bit, he's being much more generous than I was, so.
Well, like I said, and I want to point, when the young lady over here was talking about
Right,
50% was, is that,
yeah,
it's their money, it's not money.
yeah,
It belongs to everybody in the district
yeah.
and hopefully, this would be a good faith effort. And this will, could be 500,000, who knows? Those figures are up in the air. We don't know what's gonna happen. But to take the reserve and do this, it's our users' money. And this would help. Let's help.
So for clarification, I don't know if Doug covered this or not, but for scenario 4, how much, do we have a sense of how much the average bill would go up regardless?
Scenario 4 is $6.53 per bill.
For billing.
And also per SFRE. So for commercial, it'd be multifamily would be per unit. Larger meters on commercial would be per the SFREs that are assigned to them.
Yeah, I think I'm
Per unit apartment, that figure times 100.
Yeah, kind of leaning towards Art's proposal. Seems to make a lot of sense.
I think it's the middle of the road.
No comment?
I always have something to say, but yeah,
Well, please add.
no, I like this one. This was the most favored from the people that I talked to for a variety of reasons, and I kind of laid those out. But also, given the state of our reserve, since that's what we're talking about, we do have the money. We had talked about using more of our reserves for things like the infrastructure fee, but because that infrastructure fee was long-term and it would erode so much more quickly, we were talking about millions and millions on the infrastructure. So that getting that structure in place and being able to do that was not under non-emergencies circumstances, that was different. I don't, using the reserves is kind of a slippery slope, but the confluence of this is an emergency. We are under hardship and it is for limited circumstances. And our reserves can't handle it. So I think that would be okay. And I do like that.
Could I ask Doug also, if this drought situation were to correct itself by year's end, how long would it take us to build that portion of the reserve back up?
I depends on what you guys do with the rates at the end of the year. It, honestly, I don't think it's going to hit very hard, considering all
That's
the
kind of my
factors.
feeling, but I don't.
Yeah, because we do have cap reserves built into the water and sewer rates. If next year there's not a drought, people use more water. That's more reserves. That will eat that up.
That,
But I will,
that might.
yeah,
Okay.
I will say one more thing. So by going off our projections, like Josh was saying, if they use more water, we eat more in the reserves. That's a possibility. And there's also the other factor of if we don't use more, if people conserve a lot, it might create a surplus. So if that becomes a factor, that's something to keep in mind. Whether that just goes back in reserves or we do refunds or whatever. So just food for thought.
Good point.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do we have any idea how much water we conserved in this, the last time, 2003?
2003.
2003. I did not look at that. 2013.
Okay.
To figure that out.
In 13, when we went to watering, do you have any idea, watering restrictions, do you have any idea how much we conserved?
Well, we didn't actually go into watering restrictions, so they were
Okay,
going
so
to,
that was
and
2002.
then we got all the water and
Yes,
rain and precipitation. So it didn't
was-
actually happen. So
yeah, it was a 2002. I was thinking 2, Josh was thinking 3. Last time we did.
I do like the idea if the drought were to lessen and we actually had a little bit of a surplus by year's end, that we could refund all of our constituents, evenly across the board. Something we could visit at the end of the year.
We could. I'm afraid I didn't understand that.
Doug's suggesting that if the drought were to diminish or even disappear,
Okay.
and we ended up with somewhat of a surplus,
Oh.
I would vote at that time to refund our customers. But that's very, optimistic, hoping for the best. And then, the flip side of this is if the drought continues well into 2027.
Yeah.
That's a consideration as well.
I would think that, this is not us putting the surcharge on, right? We would have to put the fee on, we're covering that surcharge, so if Denver would lift it, then we would, it would be an easy matter for us to just.
But I'm
refer it
saying
back.
a surplus based on greater water sales here in the district, greater volume, more water to our customers would mean more revenue for us outside of a drought.
We have time to evaluate, and we'll be looking at everything for regular budgeting in November, so we'll be able to reevaluate then too. Director Wickman, did you have anything to add before I call a vote?
Yeah. My input on these things is it seems like every year we want to avoid raising rates, which, God bless us. But on the other hand, it always comes back with kind of loosening up our discipline and, kind of giving a little bit of money back. And the net result after all these years is our reserves are less than they should be. And it all comes back to we just try to be too generous. And I just don't think that's a good idea. It's a slippery slope. So I'm inclined to say, no, we just keep on going. And I don't think we should try to lower it and try to be the nice guy. So I will not be in favor of lowering it by any amount. I'd say pay the full charge. That's my input. That's all.
Do you have an opinion on which, so then you would be in favor of 1 or 3?
Yeah, that part I don't really care about. It's like as long as we as a group pay for it, I'm not interested as to who manages to come out a little bit ahead. As like, well, maybe the seniors should get less. Well, maybe the new mothers should get less. I mean, we could always argue about who gets more or less, but I think it's just a slippery slope, and it's just there's no point going down that. You got to pay what you got to pay, and I don't want to be playing games.
All right, thank you very much. I think that is we've heard from everybody, so with that, I will.
Can I make one?
No, oh, I'm
maybe
sorry,
take a
thank you.
Suggestion, since these numbers are based on projections, if maybe you wanted to say that this is what will be passed on, and if it goes a little higher, that maybe it's 53% out of the reserves versus 50, just for expectations to the customer, that they're gonna see this exact number come across on their bill versus it's gonna fluctuate month to month based on what we actually do get billed from there.
I don't, I was under the understanding that, this is not it's not a hard number.
Yeah.
This is, we're going off base, the baseline we calculated, so. This is, the number could be lower, could be higher, but it should be understood by the customers that, the general purpose is that we're gonna try to offset whatever costs by 50%. So
Yeah.
that's gonna go up or down.
It was just a suggestion.
What I am hearing from you is to say, not do scenario 4 that fluctuates, but to say we will assess the 653 per bill, and then the rest, which should be about 50%, will be made up, and that would have a fixed number
Yes.
rather
Yeah.
than
For the customer.
for the customer. And then our reserve would float around that point, but then the customer would know all the time. It would be 653 a bill, and maybe we pay out of reserves 655, maybe we pay 625, but then we would be passing a hard number.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
That was my.
I kind of thought that's what for the whole scenario was. And clarifying is even better.
Yes.
Is that, but that's.
But that's just based on a project.
Okay.
What
So,
we actually use, we won't know until month end
so
of each month.
when we pass, if we pass this motion, that will now usurp your ability to adjust the number.
Maybe we should
Yes.
amend the
I
motion.
think if you like what Josh is suggesting, which does sound like a good idea, thank you for bringing it up. We would withdraw the motion and
I'll
start
make a
again.
motion to add in Josh's, you wanna make it a fixed cost and then let
To the
the customer and let the reserve absorb whatever up or downs going on.
Yeah.
I would amend the motion to add that as part of that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion is to apply a new fee of 653 per bill. Let the reserves cover the rest of the surcharge, and that will account for the total surcharge to Denver Water.
We could just say it's a motion to amend and replace the previous motion, which would be to include what Art was just saying. And that would be relatively legal and whatever.
And I would phrase it as instead of per bill, per SFRE,
Per
per
SFRE.
billing.
That's for sure.
Works for me.
Is that okay? That way we just vote once.
Yes, I was gonna vote once.
Yeah.
That's what I was attempting to get to, vote once.
But yeah, thanks, Art,
Okay, so I am rephrasing your motion to say, we are applying a new drought surcharge fee of 653 per SFRE
Per billing period.
Or FRE.
per bill. And make up any other surcharge amount to Denver Water out of the reserves. Okay, did we catch it all, Doug?
Yes, sounded good. If you want to throw scenario 4 in there for the minutes, that would be perfect.
Yeah. Yes, such charges to align with scenario 4. All right, and since that was convoluted, can I ask legal to make sure that I caught it all?
Yeah.
Apply a charge of $6.53 per SFRE per bill, plus the application of any of reserves to any other outstanding charges to pay for Denver water surcharge, all of which aligns with scenario 4.
Yep. Got it.
And maybe one more note that residential is billed bi-monthly, so $6.53 per month. Sorry, got the details here.
Yeah.
$6.53 per month.
For residential, $6.53 per SFRE. Yeah.
Okay, tell you what. I would like. Okay, I'm gonna read it again.
So that $12 a bill, is that what you're saying? Because we're billed,
I am saying, so this is $6.53 per SFRE per bill if it's a multifamily, and $6.53 per SFRE per month
Let's see. Oh,
for a
it's this bill.
Residential.
for residential. Okay,
So,
I swear I asked that question too, because that's why it's split out there on, it says bill on scenario 4. But you're saying that is per
What's covered?
per month for a residential.
Right. Yeah, everything was broken out per month.
Why is it not per month for the multi-unit?
It is.
It is for everybody. The only people that pay bi-monthly are single family.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's per,
So
okay, so I
everybody's
could just
paying
say $6.53 per month.
for
All right, I'm just
everybody.
getting it wrong all over. Okay. So why does it say per bill on that?
yeah, that's what I was.
Okay,
Who we have?
Do we have the numbers correct then? Because it does say per billing period here.
it does.
Well, yeah, we can certainly review it. I didn't see where per bill was. Oh, on that bottom section
Right,
there.
bottom left.
Mhm.
Scenario number 4.
Okay. Well, we could definitely double check that.
Well, I mean, if you're confident it's accurate, $6.53 a month, we'll go with it.
Well, this is making me unconfident about it, so I certainly want to get it right.
The other one was $13.07 per billing.
Would it be worth taking a break and having you take a look at it? We meet
Well, you know
again.
what? Yeah, actually, after looking at this, we did present this for residential. So I am confident in it. $6.53 per bill for residential and $6.53 per SFRE commercial.
For 2 months each. Every other
2
month.
months for residential, 1 month for commercial and multifamily.
What, again, I don't understand why multifamily would be charged more than.
They wouldn't be. They're charged monthly.
So they're charged $6.53 a month. Residential is charged $6.53 every other month.
So what I did was I pulled all the SFREs and divided out how much income we'd need to cover that total cost. So
Good mathematician.
yeah,
You know what?
let me
Maybe can
double
we-
check the numbers. Maybe don't say a specific number.
How about-
And
We have access to the numbers. We should take a break. Come back in 15 minutes and
Yeah, yes, and then and let's do that and take your time. We've got the next, all those other penalty motions to talk about as well.
okay,
So,
yep. Let me
let's-
run through it.
Let's take 15 minutes. and reconvene at 7:50. I see 7:50. So let's come back and check in with Doug. Doug, do you need a few more minutes?
No, we got clarification, it's a month.
Per month for both?
Yes, so single family residents will see 1306.
Not with this.
Okay.
Per bill, which is for 2 months, so.
Okay, so either way, it is $653 per month, or
Yes.
Yes.
per month. Okay, per month per SFRE.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion. I built this a month ago.
Not a problem. I appreciate you looking it up, and all fine. Okay, so if we're going back, then the motion would be, I see if you agree with me, Director Martinez, the motion would be to approve $653 per SFRE per month for all multifamily residential users. This aligning with scenario 4 of the
Recommended to.
board packet. All other fees to be paid to Denver Water to be paid by reserve funds.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's my
all,
motion.
all clear? And it was seconded by Director Wendell. Still? Okay. Last chance, I got anything wrong there?
No.
All right.
They did it really.
All right, so all in favor? I see 4 here, and Director Wickman has already said he is not in favor. Would you like to reiterate that, Director Wickman?
Yeah, I oppose using any money from our reserves.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you all. And thank you, Doug, for all of your work, and District Manager Stanley for cutting to the chase on what we needed to see for this. That is a better way to do it. Wonderful. Okay, so we are on to these are carryover discussions from last month. Also, I was suggesting that we reevaluate the neighbor enforcement, or at least discuss it. What I heard, so there are 2 things in here on the 2 motions, number 1 and 2, that relate to that. What I heard last month was that there is absolutely no interest in number 2. That had to do with anonymous complaints.
That's my feelings, yes.
So I am taking that one off the table.
Could I ask for clarification on
Yes.
that?
Yes.
For example, what if I were passing through another neighborhood a mile from my house and I saw somebody's sprinkler shooting into the sun? I could not report that.
You wanna look at it?
Yeah, you can. You can report it.
Okay, I don't know, and we don't need this anymore either.
Well. That's good
Thank you.
information, by the way.
Okay. Let me start at the beginning. So, motion number 1 is to not use neighborhood complaints as a basis for enforcement. If you saw, and what you are saying, and one of the reasons that I am suggesting that is because of things like what you said. If you're driving by and you see a sprinkler going off, or somebody watering the sidewalk, these things happen all the time, right? They happen all the time. And in normal times, and I was asking about this, in normal times, you would call, anybody could call, and somebody from the district may notify the customer for informational purposes only. And that could still happen. That could happen for a broken sprinkler, it could happen for watering on the wrong days. All of that could still happen.
It sounds reasonable. Would it work as well for the neighbor across the street from me? Same thing.
Yes.
But I think it,
The informational part of that is not changing. The thing that is changing is if you call and say, give this person's doing it wrong, give them a fine.
Oh, no, I never advocated that.
Okay,
I
but
just thought
that's
it should be brought to their attention.
for,
And I know we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago.
yes,
You know, well, why don't you speak with your neighbors? Some neighbors don't speak to each other.
right. And in your case, that was informational. But the only thing I am saying is this application of a fine based on somebody calling in.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think it still should be brought to their attention.
You should still
Staff
do that
or-
informationally.
Bring it to their attention, hey, we understand your sprinklers watering the sidewalk.
Right. Just our normal enforcement
Yeah.
kind of method.
yeah,
No, I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
I was just, my intention was only from the standpoint of if you tell somebody, you tell a district that, hey, Henry Jones is watering the street for the last 3 days in a row.
Well, yeah, then you got,
But I just don't want my name being tied to it.
no. That's
That was my only contention is that.
Well,
It's fair,
That's fair
that's,
too.
that's fair, that's fair
So we-
information for the district, I just don't want to be. I don't want any reprisals coming back, cause you know, they feel I'm inadvertently trying to, particularly for people you don't talk to.
Well, I don't think historically the district would have said, oh, Roger is reporting you. You would have just said, hey, we think you have a water problem on the sidewalk.
Well, I thought that was one of the points that said, yeah, we wanted to let them know, I don't want, I'm for enforcement, you know, and people saying, yeah, let the district know when there's some kind of a problem. Just don't escalate it beyond that, other than the district takes the loose forward.
Are you advocating for assessing a fine based on your calling in or not?
There's where the conversation
That's
needs
the
to be discussed, because I'm not sure as to what level of fine. I know Denver's doing what, $200 per
I think they're doing
first notification.
like verbal communication, written communication, and then they start getting into monetary, and it can go as far as a flow restrictor. For people that don't wanna adhere to the drop declaration.
And with our new ion water capabilities, if someone does report it in and say they've been watering 3 days a week, we can go look at that and see that they were, based on how much flow is going through the meter.
And the days are doing it.
And the day, well, yeah, down to the 15-minute increments.
How many times a day?
And the time, well, up to within 15 minutes.
And historically, what would we have done, say during 2013 or?
2003 is the drought I remember that actually where enforcement was happening. I can't find any record of any sort of violations that were handed out. It was so long ago, but I do recall at that stage it was a more severe drought than we're in right now. Denver Water was out here patrolling, and we had staff as well patrolling.
So Denver Water actually came out here to patrol.
So they already have an enforcement record in place. Doug brings up a different point of using ion water, and again, I'm gonna say that's like a different discussion. I want to make clear that the starting point is somebody called in, and that's what I am suggesting that we not do. If somebody calls in and says, and he says that we can verify, but we don't need a neighbor for that either. In that case, we should, if we're using ion water, then we should have a standard system and apply everybody. And again, nobody needs to be calling in at all. We would just be monitoring everybody's use. I don't know that we had some discussion about that before on whether or not we had let people know that we would be monitoring their use through that ion water system. And that is a different and new policy.
So we have the ability technically to do that. Monitor everybody throughout the district and say, oh, it's Wednesday, they should not be using this much water.
I think we would have to establish a pattern Typically, when people turn on their irrigation timer, they have a set zone for X amount of minutes. And that will run through, so I would say after a set, a few weeks to a month, that you can establish those parameters and be able to associate that with outdoor irrigation. And we do have, excuse me, the capability to pull reports, and they come in spreadsheet form, so you can really quickly run formulas to.
Does the report show, by address, time of day, and, that there's a threshold that was exceeded? So there's a red flag.
The threshold, they're really looking at a number attached to
Right.
how long you can water for. It's just based on your address, that's the day, the 2 days, the week you can water.
Okay,
Yeah.
good point. All right, so the current restrictions are for Thursdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
Before 10 p.m., after 10 a.m. and after 6 p.m.
Yes.
Right? So from 12 to 10 a.m., I can run my sprinkler systems all through that time.
Until the day starts, which would be
The 10 a.m. Right?
Technically, you could, yes.
8 hours. And the same goes after 6, from 6 to 12.
right, 6 to 12.
So does the report gonna show, I'll say it, I ran my sprinklers the other day for an hour and 20 minutes in the back.
It'll
of the
show.
yard, because I'm putting down manure and grass seed. So I figured I better water that in before we end up in the neighbor's yard.
I had the same thing, and I was watching, and Josh looked at it one day, and I went way over, and I was on the wrong day. Ooh, that was.
Yeah, I would get your.
People could do that, but if that's the route that they choose to go,
I don't.
it's gonna create water waste on top of that.
Yeah.
The grass can only absorb so much before it will just.
Well, it was in the back, so it's not gonna go anywhere, but it was, I have a tractor with an aerator, so I plugged the whole damn yard up. So it was a one-time thing, but I'm not gonna do that every time, but you can ask that you could have people that would go out there and to run it, because after I did that, I can run it for 8 hours and nobody, that's my business. They're just not gonna be able to do anything about it.
That's what you guys are here for.
Okay, that's what I wanted to bring it up, is because, when I did it, I thought, okay, this is gonna be a one-time thing, and I normally run my zones. Normally, I run them about 35 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And that's 6 hours.
There's recommended times for the type of sprinkler heads you have, so there are guidelines out there for if you have pop-ups. This is how much time you should run for.
Yeah.
And I think we're veering a little bit off topic
Yeah.
here, so let's keep to the topic, which is,
Sorry.
do we want neighbors calling in with the result of taking action by staff?
No, we don't.
So, let me add this, to me, it's analogous to a neighbor in my neighborhood, not on my street, becomes intoxicated throughout the year and shoots fireworks over all of our houses. But seriously, what is wrong with bringing that to the attention of Lakewood Police? How would that be different for this situation? Somebody wasting water. What would be wrong with just telling the district, hey, did you take a look? Bring this to the attention of this homeowner, you're wasting water during a critical period in our history.
Well, that is a personal decision. I'm going to tell you this has been a very interesting social experiment for me, I have to tell you, because I've been asking people about this. And here's how the conversation goes. I alternate. And I will say, do you think that neighbors should be snitching on each other? And the answer is always no. You don't think we should tattle? No.
So we should not call the police on my neighbor with the fireworks.
And then if I say, well, do you think we should be calling in because people need to conserve? Absolutely. This is all in how you're hearing the question and what your personal values are. For myself, I do not call in fireworks. I love fireworks, so I'm not calling it in. So,
It would work better if we just had a little card or a mailer that says, hey, would you help us with this drought and that kind of thing? And
on the mailer, do you wanna say, call on your neighbor?
no snitching, just,
Okay,
but I could have been called out because I had this huge, I had a terrible, I had a record that looked like this on the user.
or I mean that, and again, this is not the calling for informational purposes and saying something, but this is, you want somebody to go out and talk to that person and say, don't do this.
I should.
And assess a fine. You, again, for informational,
I didn't say assess
for
the fine.
informational purposes, you can have somebody call and say, somebody reported that there is a broken sprinkler.
But I would
or
expect staff to look at the eyes on water application, whatever it is. Say,
Okay.
yeah, there's an obvious abuse here. Maybe send somebody out just politely to bring it to their attention.
Well,
Yeah.
You know,
and
don't
is that
water
part
on
of,
Fridays.
but that's a verbal, that's part of the verbal warning system.
Right.
So that's the penalty system. So it would be leading to a penalty.
I would imagine eventually if they continue that behavior.
Well, it was.
But I think a visit, maybe a letter on the second offense. I don't know,
So
some kind of progressive thing to discourage that kind of behavior.
If this helps, a lot of the outreach we've had from the customers about the drought is how they can do their part
Yeah, most everybody wants to.
to reduce their water. We haven't had a lot of people calling in, wanting to just
Rat on a news.
Yeah.
that or even say their piece that they're just gonna just water when they want. The majority of the calls have just been, hey, just wanna confirm these are my days and things like that, so.
I do get nervous about fireworks. Cause I had a burning tree one night.
Yeah, since we don't agree on this issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's not a hill I wanna die on. We can
No.
move forward.
okay. I'm looking for a motion to say we should adopt Denver's policy of neighbors enforcing. Or we should not adopt we should adopt the no snitching side and not do that. Because we'll put that on, either one is a policy. Which way do we want to go? Include the
I'm
neighbors?
interested in this, but modified. So I move that we adopt it and then during discussion we can modify it.
You are adopting. Tell me what you're thinking.
To adopt the Denver Water's approach to reporting, abusive behavior when it comes to water.
Okay,
But their penalty system, I'd like modified.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll say that again, please.
I don't know if I can.
I know how you feel.
That we adopt Denver Water's recommendation on the reporting of.
Neighbors reporting?
Yes, you would.
On each other and using their penalty
I don't know
system.
if I worded on each other, but the ability to report.
See, I told you, it's the verbal, if I say snitching, and that's what this is neighbors reporting on each other is different than snitching, and the other word is whistleblowing. Reporting is neutral, but yes,
Yes, reporting.
okay,
But I'm,
second? Anybody?
But without, at this point, without any penalties. defining it.
well, that's not in the, but that's what I would shoot for, but that's not in. What Denver has in place at the moment. They have a penalty structure.
Okay, so, maybe this is just the way it is. It doesn't sound like, if you don't have an alternative, I don't want you to modify your own motion. Do you have a motion to make
Okay,
that
let me
is what
make
you
a
want to
second
see?
motion.
Okay,
That we have this, that customers or anybody.
Yes.
Has the ability to report to our district when somebody believes there's an abuse of the watering restrictions.
Okay,
And a follow-up would be, district personnel would bring it to the attention of this property owner after they've looked at eyes on water or whatever the dad's got is, to verify that there was a problem.
yeah,
We got the data.
okay, so you're
I'll second
using eyes on water and you're
Is that-
using
is
neighbor
that the
reporting.
Apps called on your end. Okay, eyes on water.
Okay, is there, and
.com.
you were seconding that? Okay, discussion?
Okay, so we're gonna allow people to call in. Leave it up to the district to verify it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then leave it up to the district to do what? And
Well, ask that the district, they verify that, yeah, there was a problem on this particular date. If they can verify that, send somebody out to bring it to the attention of the
Let's make
property.
a phone call.
For a phone call or however you want to communicate with the people and bring it to their
That's a
attention.
start.
what's easy
I
to
disagree.
do?
Okay.
Okay,
You know, I think
anything
it's
else?
verbal communication is the best place to.
What kind of communication?
Verbal.
A verbal, so phone call or in person?
And this would be open to anybody in the district.
Phone call.
It doesn't have to be me ratting on my neighbor.
But you're not making that better for me. You're not making it better. Anybody can rat. That is, I, that's wonderful that you're equal opportunity, but, okay, that's great.
If it helps, I just looked, we've had 29 reports, in just over a month.
Already,
And have you been able to call, or you looked at it and it wasn't that big of a deal, or what?
We've had outreach.
Outreach, all right.
so you,
At this point, though, we didn't have a penalty system in place, so therefore there wasn't anything to do. And now when that happens, that can go and we can.
My
go on it.
motion does not include a penalty.
as of yet,
Yeah.
we can address it later.
Right. Yes. Okay. Did you have anything else to say on that?
No, I think it sounds fair and if we see this becomes a continuing issue, people already, if we see it becomes an issue, then I think if we determine later down the road, the penalties need to be enforced, and Josh has already knew. But if Josh is already following that tact right now and getting reports and
Yeah.
and contacting the people, let them know, let's see if it, you'll know that person's violating it again, right?
Yes, in my opinion, what you are saying are two different things. And I can agree with if you get a call that you can reach out and say, we had a call that somebody called in. Again, to me, this is, if it is part of you abused something and you did something wrong, that is, that's what you're saying. You abused it, you're doing something wrong, and that,
I'd like you to correct.
I don't care if you call it a civil or a criminal matter. To me, that gets into due process things, and you need to face your accusers and you need to go through all of these proceedings. I don't like it. I don't like you being able to do anonymous snitching. So I also do not like the use of ion water for uses that we did not let our customers know about when we installed it, and that would be the drought
Well,
enforcement.
for clarification though, ion water for our customers is only available for their account. They have no way of looking at mine.
But you're saying that you call in and you are asking the district to look at that customer's data and enforce something on them. Now, what about me, who is, I will be violating every day and somebody is not looking at mine because my neighbor did not call in. That's unequal enforcement. So I don't like the neighbor doing it and then somebody calling in and saying, look at my neighbor, but don't look at on my other side. We're either using ion water or we're not, in my opinion, for this enforcement, and we don't have a policy that has been suggested or going on. So in my opinion, I will not be in favor of this motion because I don't like the neighbor's complaint leading to enforcement action, and I don't like using ion water in an ad hoc manner without a fully fleshed out policy.
I'm not sure how the ion water fits into this though. It's just one of their tools to verify that there's been a problem. It's.
Why is that? I don't understand why that is not, that is exactly what I'm saying. You're using an ion water.
They're
It's-
using-
They are
staff is
using it to look at your water.
To clarify, we have not been using.
You
it
have not been using
this-
it.
To this stage, it's just been, somebody comes in, it works, we're in the educational outreach stage where we just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of what's happening.
Yes. So you're suggesting a different use that we have not developed a policy for and would not be equally applied. If you want to do an ion water, I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be a different uniform application where we would develop criteria, like Josh is saying, we'd have to develop a pattern and we'd have to let people know that that's what we are doing and we'll be using it in that. You didn't say that, I'm saying that. But we have not before used that to notify them and have that part of the enforcement method leading to something else. So I think that is a bigger policy. And again, it's, I didn't ask, we did ask for that. It's not on the agenda. That's a different part of all of that.
I think we're making this too complicated.
Yeah.
It's just a tool. I bring it to staff's attention that water's being wasted over at the corner. They may or may not go to ion water. They may just drive out there and see if the sprinkler is blowing into the air. Or they may go to ion water and go, yeah, heavy usage on Sunday. We'll go visit with the homeowner, or we'll call them. It doesn't seem like a big deal.
I got a call from Green Mountain, I think it probably was you, when I had a leaky toilet, and that was 8 years ago. And we had a leaky toilet, we went down, got it fixed, but they said I think, didn't somebody come out?
Yeah, and that's a different application.
I know, but.
So it's a different
similar
application.
thing that you were alerted to the fact that, I mean, somehow or another, we have the algorithm in our computer to say, oh, by the way, there's water being used in a way that may not, anyway.
Right now, it's being used as a tool to help the customer by identifying a potential toilet that they're unaware of. And so they don't expect a huge bill because it was a silent leak, if you will.
Yes.
But that's after
That's
the fact, you're not doing it prior.
You're doing that proactively.
You're doing that prior, because I had a leaky toilet, nobody told me about it.
It may be on your bill.
Huh?
It may be on your bill.
I didn't know, I did not know that it was leaking.
It is a tool, so they're prioritizing the larger leaks that come in and it trickles down. We kind of limited on staff to handle that. That's the thing.
And see, the flip side of this is, I don't think we could justify having staff just drive all the streets looking for a problem.
No, we don't wanna do that. I don't wanna hear that.
I don't want to do that.
No, you just heard that Denver Water and staff have done that in the past.
I lived
It's-
here when Denver
Right.
trucks were going down.
Yeah.
Drive.
So we do have routine enforcement methods.
And we didn't flush our toilets.
Yeah, but we're not doing that now. Do we want to encourage conservation?
Why do you think, okay, it doesn't matter, we're gonna go back and forth on this, Ms. Schrader, I know I opened it up before, but we don't normally have interactive dialogue on this point, I mean, all right, let me hear it, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have something to say?
Yeah, just to, sorry, I know it's a pretty small group and thanks for letting me ask a question, Karen. My question is, so I'm having a family reunion this summer and I have 10, possibly 12 family members that are going to be staying with me for a week. So you start to look at the ion water thing and I think it becomes problematic. I mean, I've used the tool, we try to do the right thing and monitor our water usage every summer, regardless of a drought or not. And I think anything monitoring wise that you're doing, if you looked at district wide, I'm not sure, maybe I have a kid on a football team and on Sunday I bring home all the kids' stinky uniforms and do laundry all day on Sunday. And it's not my watering day. So just to throw it out there, just because people's water usage goes up doesn't necessarily mean they're watering their grass. So
That's correct.
I hadn't heard that point. There is no differentiation is my point.
But you bring up an excellent point, but if staff came to your house and said, we have a complaint that there's high water usage on Sunday, you could say I was doing the laundry for the football team.
Yeah.
And I think the staff would say, okay,
Yeah,
just checking.
I could add one more point of clarification on the proactive calls that we do make. It is when flow is detected for every hour of a 24-hour period. So it's not, hey, you're using a lot of water. It's the meter's registering flow consistently for 24 straight hours. That's an indicator of a leak. So,
Yeah.
And you are in favor of neighbors calling on each other?
What, I think what she's saying is that.
I just wanted to point that out, that when we proactively call, it's because of a specific scenario.
So I'm,
And I guarantee our cranky pants neighbor is gonna call on everybody on our street regardless of what their watering day is, so have fun with that.
now that you're convinced.
Yeah.
me,
But we,
no.
seriously, we have some very
And I
capable
second
staff
we should-
on the phones, Becky and Brooke, and I'm sure they can wade through a lot of this and just.
They're gonna know, we're gonna know if somebody.
I'll give
calls
Becky
the
and Brooke,
boss.
I'll give Becky and Brooke the name and address, so I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you for entertaining my point.
No, that's good.
Thank
one.
you.
That's a good one.
You know, you, that did remind me, somebody said, one of the other points that came up when I was talking to people is they almost always followed the people who wanted the ability to report, whatever you want to call it, report on their neighbors. And I don't know why you don't like that last part. You know, there's some moral ambiguity there if you don't like that part. So you recognize that.
No comment.
If you don't, the people who wanted the ability to report on neighbors, there were several of them who followed it up with, they should have taken out their grass before. This should have been done, and the xeriscaping should have been done. And that was interesting to me because I got the feeling that this was like my opportunity to get back was like a retroactive. I can get it now, penalize them. But on the other hand, I don't like the neighbor. There are other opportunities for penalties that we can do. But the neighbor
In
thing
the,
was
in the 1980s, I actually worked for the Aurora Water Department
yeah.
and would go out and measure lawns.
Did you?
Those were the days.
Yeah.
So it can get pretty bad.
It
In
does.
comparison, this seems very mild.
Well, very
Hey,
good.
we think you're wasting some water.
Excellent. I think we've all heard us. Did Director Wickman have anything to add here?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Then the motion is, you want to repeat it to be able to,
For anybody to be able to report what appears to be waste of water or abuse during the drought, bring it to the attention of the district. The district has the option to use whatever tool necessary to try and verify that and to contact that homeowner if there is indeed a problem.
okay.
But there's no penalty phase to this.
At this point.
At this point, we can revisit that in the future or even consider it on an individual basis if somebody's a repeat offender.
Okay. All in favor?
Sorry.
Change. Okay. Director Wickman, are you in favor?
I am a no.
And all opposed is a no. And okay, that's 3.
Sorry.
Okay. I guess the flip side of that would be then, do we need a motion to say that was the neighbors, we are not doing neighbor, we're not doing that. Here's where I want to get to. We're going to be discussing a mailer for the drought notification, and the original notification from Denver Water includes something like, contact us if you see this abuse of water and we'll take care of it. Josh, do you know where I can see that? Yes, restrictions, on water restrictions
Talking about from Denver.
from Denver. Could we put something out like that? Or we passed it along?
They're out in the front lobby. If you wanna
Yeah.
snag one.
Let me see.
See who could run the fastest.
You'd be a lot, I'm sorry.
You're in trouble.
Oh,
You're so in trouble.
You can't report me.
Yeah, you can't. I guess the point, I gotta check and see if I'm on the list.
We so far all there is structures.
We're not supposed to engage with.
Information about show.
Okay. I'm not seeing it on this page. So I guess my point was that when I saw that, I wanted us to vote on yes or no to follow or put that same information out. And I am
Are you
not,
talking about what Denver has on their website?
maybe,
The stage one declaration?
yes.
We have that on ours as well.
Yes, but I'm not seeing, so maybe I'm just wrong to bring it up at all. So that's a total waste of time. I apologize. Okay, so then I guess I won't ask, we'll just assume that that we are not asking for that at this point. Don't ask for neighbors to be calling in. However, we should adopt, is there a motion to adopt penalties? And I have the motion for penalties may be appealed, but maybe the penalties,
That's technically in the rules and regs.
they're already there.
Yeah. We need,
Okay.
we need. Decision that the district makes, any fines. Charges assessed, even your bill, like somebody could. Request a,
Okay. Okay, good. So we don't need to do that one. They may be appealed, but we do need to have, do we want to have penalties assessed if our staff see something when they're out? First violation warning, something along these lines.
So we do have a water waste section in the rules and regs. I don't know if that applies
Okay.
to drought or not. But just FYI, that is in there for water waste.
Do you have any idea what those are? I did not look that up.
I think it's
Okay.
excessive use, so we have 10
Yeah.
days, we warn them, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we send them a certified letter, and if they don't respond, then we turn off the water and fine them.
Okay, so that's more extreme than having a second violation of a 250.
Correct.
The second violation of excessive use would be turning off your water.
Yeah, this one's a $500 fine with water off. But that, like you said, is it's more extreme.
Okay, so do we want to consider this Denver Water's levels of fines? That would be first level would be a warning, second level would be 250, and the third would be 500. And that would be based off of staff, the same way we see any other excessive use.
I think that those. Were adopted when Denver went to the. Just across the board, year to year, no watering between 10 and 6. Don't water the sidewalk, fix your sprinkler heads.
We adopted this penalty
Many
system.
years ago, yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. That's in there.
I was thinking you already. Moot point.
Okay.
So that I think it applies more to the waste portion of it, like ignoring a broken sprinkler head versus. Not watering on your day.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not, I don't believe that's in the rules and regs. And I am looking at it.
Do you wanna put that in there? Right, the time,
The time,
yeah,
No.
penalize them for not being on time.
and I guess I missed putting that assessment on the agenda too specifically.
Yeah,
We talked around the penalties, but didn't have a,
it strictly talks
Adoption.
about ignoring identified and communicated water waste leaks that are present on the owner's property. So that's what the water waste violation is geared for
okay.
currently.
But then, I mean, it would still fall under rates and fees. Do we? So
Yeah,
we could still do a motion to do the first violation is a warning and the second 250 and third 500. Anybody on penalties?
And I
Or
would
we just want
will
out?
say that Denver Water, you know, is allowing the districts to handle their enforcement how they see fit. So it's the implementation of the drought rules. We have to adhere to theirs verbatim, but the enforcement piece is up to the individual districts. Just point of clarification there.
I did have somebody suggest collecting the fines and applying it to the drought fee instead of the reserves, just capping that off. I don't know how many 250, 500 fines we will have, but okay, I'm not seeing it. Anybody jumping up for this one at all? Maybe we're just tired of
Yeah, I just don't know.
penalties.
Don't have a,
Okay,
I don't want to be too punitive on, you know, general violations of the water. I mean, if somebody happens to miss it, you know, shoot over an hour or two on water usage. I don't want to be penalizing them for that, but if somebody consistently does it and then and been more and gone through a process, then it would be time to be, you know, putting penalties on them. But the question would be, how severe penalties? I think Denver's penalty structure is a little severe.
well, why don't we think about it then? Since I missed it too, what penalty structure should be. And if you want to come up with something, and then we'll watch and see how many what recommendations we get. Josh, if you see anything, if you see a lot of problems
I'd
coming up.
I'd like to see Josh come back and give us an idea of how many people you said were reported violations. 20 some.
There's like 29 and
29.
it's like
And
12, and I feel like several of them were for the same properties.
and then you reached out to them and let them know. I'd like to see, you know, if you don't mind finding out did the violation occur again.
We can look into that.
I mean, so did that one call take care of the situation? And then it looks like we may hit on something that may just work honky dory for us.
Okay, we'll get some more information and come back to this. We will be meeting again in, is it 2 or 3 weeks? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So, yay.
June 9th.
Okay. All right, so then we can, we'll table that for now, and if there's anything else. So that just brings us
What do you still want?
Oh, I haven't.
Oh,
to to a mailer. Anybody, do we want to do a mailer, physical postcard again to let people know that this is what we decided?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of open-ended now, not knowing what our penalty structure may be. So we might want to hold that off until we come to the decision that we can put on there, you know. You're gonna get 2 calls and then you're gonna get a letter, and then after that, this is what you're gonna get.
And for the penalties and fines, if you guys are revisiting that, do we need another rate hearing advertised?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would if we were going to assess something.
So that
So,
wouldn't be able to happen till June 19th, right?
Yes. Well, actually,
20th.
2 more days.
I mean, we can have it set, but we don't even know.
I mean, you could set something now and you can always
Not hold it or hold it.
After another 30-day window, if you wanted to say maybe start verbal, written, and then. you
And
know,
just don't apply it, kind of a thing. So we have it there if we need it, and if we don't want to, authorize it, just don't do it. Is that kind of what you're going at?
I think a better approach would be to just continue this rate and fee hearing to a date certain rather than do a new one. Characterize it that way rather than have a delayed implementation.
So we got a couple things that are still on the table to discuss. One of them's gonna be, what the rates of the charges we're gonna do, and we're also gonna need to table if I'm hearing this correctly, the mailer.
No, let's do the mailer now. You're not saying the rates though, right? You're just saying the penalties part. We did decide on the rates, the surcharge fee.
enforcement fees.
And just leave that open-ended on the mailer.
The penalty. Yeah.
Something. There will be penalties.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Penalties will be, let's think of something to put on there. Penalties will be decided after we see how many violations are, or how severe, if people can behave, something like that. I don't know. Penalties may be assessed.
Penalties may be assessed for violators.
I have notes. I would like to get a mailer out sooner rather than later. We're later than some of our counterparts in Lakewood. And at least we can get the new rates out there. I have notes for a mailer, things that I think people would be other interesting things. We have the surcharge, how that works. Reiterate the watering rules, which you'll do. Also suggestions for indoor water conservation. Somebody was asking about that. The link again for ion water.
Yeah, that's a key, I think. Ion water is that you can watch your own water usage on ion water.
Remember that, and I can send these to you, but just tell me if these are things people disagree with. The website link again for when the hydrant flushing is going on. If you, or, you could even sign up for a separate email would be nice so that people could see it. Get notifications. Okay, I think that's it.
And John's just personal phone.
Yeah, you can go to this.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything else you want to see on the mailers?
Let's go. What we voted on tonight is key. You're right. It's better now than later.
Could you repeat those one time? Surcharge costs,
I'll
water
send you.
conservation, flushing opportunities. I feel like there may have been one.
There, yeah, let me get with you afterwards. I've got it written down, so I didn't forget. Okay, I think that is all that I have. I want to reiterate, I appreciate the discussion. I don't think anybody is stopping you from calling in if you see a problem. That is still an informational piece. And that is still has gone on, will always go on. People will always call in, I think.
So
It was my concern was the leading to enforcement actions that I wanted to make sure were standardized. But no one is stopping you from making phone calls or anybody in the neighborhood or in the district. I don't think that will that will do.
So do we want the reporting tool removed from the website?
See, there is a reporting tool. Yes,
I just wanted to make sure I was stating that clear.
there was something. And that is what I was understanding. Does everybody else that the reporting tool to
that's what we voted on.
yeah. Okay.
Wasn't that already on the mailer? Oh, it's her. I think it was.
There was something that we did an email. Did we send a mailer out?
Yeah, it was just because we hadn't decided the direction, just to follow the chapter 15 Denver operating rules, we were just feeding information on what they.
I knew it saw that.
Yes,
Pretty sure.
so that's where that's exactly what I wanted to say. Yes, I saw that. We didn't adopt that policy. So yes, we could remove that piece when we go out again.
The only, could you direct me on staying the rate hearing or continuing it? How does that look exactly?
Yeah,
Do we need?
yeah, let's have a motion to continue this hearing to, I guess, at this point, the June regular meeting. And note that in the minutes.
Oh, then it doesn't need a separate 30-day? Okay,
Right.
all right. I move to continue the rate and fee hearing to the next regular meeting, next June regular meeting. Specifically to discuss penalties. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second, Director Martinez. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? I see unanimous here, Director Wickman.
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Motion carries.
Does that affect any changes to the effective date of what you guys just decided tonight?
No, that'll just be for the enforcement piece.
Just for the enforcement piece, so the surcharge goes through tonight. Okay.
That's been voted on.
Which is good because we're at May 19th already. So. Okay, am I missing anything else legal?
No, I don't believe so.
Josh, anything else?
I don't think so.
Doug, anything else?
I guess
I don't think so.
Okay,
for the mailer,
yes.
is that being continued as well? Or that's already been established?
We want to put that out as soon as we can.
Do we want to split it up by people who receive a paper bill to receive a physical mailer and e-bills get email? To lower the cost of getting the word out, or do you want across the board a physical mailer?
What's been the response in the past when we've done it across the board? I think it's been better, hasn't it?
Well, we've done it both ways,
Yeah.
where, because we have a ton of emails on file, we know are valid because it's how they pay their bill. That's much less, there's much less cost involved with that versus having it mailer printed and mailed to the home.
Yeah, that's one question. Could you qualify if there was a better response or if we did it as a mailer versus, doing half and half of what it is on the split between the electronic and.
I don't think we've analyzed that
Yeah,
as far as getting feedback from customers. Doug, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, a little input. So yeah, when we do like a postcard, I feel like that's definitely more responsive. We do an insert in the bill. It's hit or miss. Emails are mostly disregarded, I would say. It's typically people talking to us about something they received, in their hands. So postcard's going to be the most expensive one. Insert, less expensive, but there's still definitely a cost. And then email obviously is going to be much less expensive, like Josh said.
We've done the full car, but what was generally the cost of that versus the other?
Of just a postcard?
Yeah.
Those
Like
generally around $5,000-$6,000.
$6,000.
Insert is about $900 for each cycle, and then email, I think, and I'm kind of guesstimating on this one, about 30 cents an email. So pretty cheap.
And I think and if we're going to be mailing people, I know it's more expensive, but since this does affect all the multifamily users,
It's gonna be, I prefer the mailer, phone mailer.
the full mailer.
Yeah. We do hear from customers that, when we didn't do the postcards that we typically did back in the day, they ask, "Where's my postcard? What happened to the rates?"
That's a rate.
I can't give you an exact number, but I mean, we do hear that. So
I'd make a motion to do the full card.
Okay. Motion for a full card, second? Anybody? Director Harding, I beat you to it. For discussion, I'm thinking full postcard, and I think we might need to start adopting a full mail list, because this does affect, they may not see the charge directly, but their units in the multifamilies are gonna go up, and they didn't used to capture that. So this will affect them more. What do y'all think?
yeah, that will make the cost go up. Just saying.
Yes.
Do we want to, for the multifamily, put it on the onus of the property management company to disperse internally, or do we want to?
Can we do that?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them are pretty good about notifying their customers for any sort of water outages that they have on property. So we could just make them aware to disperse to their residents.
That would be great. I think we just need to figure out the system now, because we're talking about everything a little bit more inclusive than we were before. Okay. So mailer to everybody and property managers, I'll handle that. Any other questions, discussion? Good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I see 4. Director Wickman?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Okay. Great. All right. I think that covers us for everything we're going to do tonight. Is there any new business ideas that we need to talk about that may be coming up in the June meeting? I have nothing for once, but Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:47. Thank you everyone for all of your participation and everyone online.